Hey everybody, Wayne here. I don't know why that popped up. Didn't want to share that yet. Welcome. Those who are joining me, just getting started here. So for today, I think we're gonna we'll start talking about war game reviews or board game reviews. Any questions you guys have for me? No special guests this week. But I just wanted to do a show. My plan is basically probably every Sunday or most Sundays to do a show. It's beginning of my weekend. I work generally speaking through Saturday. Usually start my weekend on Sunday, and my wife's at work too, so it's a good time for me to get on here and do a live stream. So, James Whitmer, good afternoon from Southern Ontario. Good afternoon. I'm coming to you guys from Southwest Missouri, outside Springfield, outside the Wilsons Creek battlefield. Although I am originally from Wisconsin and very proud Scotty, as we call ourselves and are called. Christopher, hi Wayne, everybody. Hey Chris, how's it going? So like I said, the topic this week, I want to talk about war games, war game reviews. I kind of got in my head, an idea of like talking about something else, but I did say I want to talk about reviews, so we'll probably focus on that. The other thing I was going to talk about was Hex Encounter war games and rules mistakes and things like that. We can save that either for another week or maybe later. Hello. Where are you coming from? John, let's do this. Went to MSU for college. Missouri State, I assume. Closer to Southern Ontario, post-windy Ottawa. Man, with some Canadians up in here. That's all right. Everyone's welcome. Everyone's welcome to this live stream. Let's see. I'm trying to figure out. I think I put the wrong. Yeah, that is not the right tab I wanted to share. Like I said, I don't really have anything special planned for today other than some conversation, Q&A from everybody, and casual conversation. Talk amongst yourselves. Ask me questions. Hey, Kirk. Nice to see you as always. Definitely. Huge storm. 10 people died from a storm. Was it tornadoes? I assume like thunderstorm style. 10 people. It must have been tornadoes. I'm kind of at the edge of Tornado Alley. Where I am, technically, we don't necessarily get a ton of tornadoes. Theoretically, I'm in Tornado Alley, but where I live, it's on the Ozark Plateau. And there we go. We're the Weather Channel now, by the way. War games and weather and geological features. I'm on the Ozark Plateau, so it seems to kind of block some of the tornadoes. But just west of me is Joplin, Missouri, about an hour west, which is it's where Kilroy was here, who has an excellent YouTube channel where he lives. And that obviously in 2011, for those who know, had a really bad tornado that unfortunately killed a lot of people, caused a lot of billions worth of damage. Morning, gray day, San Diego. Charles, so we'll probably get that weather, probably heading this way. I'll probably get this weather soon. We have beautiful, sunny yesterday. Worked yesterday, but it was beautiful. I was out in the car, driving around as much as I could. I'm training a new guy, so I'm doing a lot of babysitting. I'll say babysitting. He's not watching. I'm doing a lot of babysitting of a new guy. I'm a field training officer right now, and so it's a lot of kind of watching him work, and then he had to do a lot of reports yesterday. So I didn't get to enjoy the sun as much. And this morning I filmed a review, got that done, and I did an unboxing, filmed that. So I haven't been outside yet, but I'm going to get outside this afternoon for sure. Steve, reviews do matter. And Steve, great to see you as always. Reviews do matter. But as always, one is considered the source. Too many reviewers just do an extended unboxing while focusing on the positives, hardly mentioning the negatives. Yeah, and we're going to get into this for sure. We'll kind of do kind of the hellos introductions here to everybody, saying hi and all that. But we're going to get into that, Steve. So remind me in a bit if I don't return to that topic. I do want to talk about things, everything about reviews, good, bad, the ugly, all that stuff. So remind me if I don't get back to it. Hey, Daniel, good afternoon from Spain. Great to see you. Well, so what time is it? So it's noon here in Midwest United States, central part of the United States. So is it just the afternoon there? It must be later than that, right? Like evening? Or what is it? What time is it there, Daniel? But it's great to see you. I haven't seen you on the channel lately, but I knew you were around. I was thinking about you the other day because I know we were talking about, I think, Worthington games in the past. You having trouble getting them. I was thinking about that. It says no tornadoes, and this referring to 10 people dying. Just crazy storm, lots of trees and power lines down. Some people are still out of power. I did feel like perhaps what some Americans deal with every year. Yeah, when those tornadoes hit, and I would say clearly anywhere can get bad weather, horrible weather can cause people to die, lose their life. But that when you get those tornadoes, that's because they're just so unpredictable. And it, with the tornadoes is related, right? Is heavy rains, is power lines going down, is the heavy winds. I mean, even if it's not a tornado exactly, that level of winds, I mean, knocks buildings down, and you don't live in a well-constructed house. Well, every time's well now structures out we had wind gusts of 136 kph. So I only speak imperial. I don't know what that is. I'm just kidding. So that's still very fast, obviously. Wow. Using what it did. That's why reviews survive. You're always fair and balanced. Appreciate that, Steve. I do my best. I'm not perfect, but I my goal is always that. Definitely. Thanks, Lively. Yeah, well, you said you're out in San Diego, right? So you get the constant beautiful weather, which I'm sure not always constant, right? But that's the stereotype, right? Is San Diego beautiful weather all the time, but occasional earthquake, so you never know what you can deal with. David, hey, nice to see you. Nice to see you. Daniel says 7 p.m. in Barcelona. Okay, all right. Well, thanks for joining. Not too late, and that's one reason too I wanted to do these live streams on. On at noon at the time, not the day per se. Although Sunday, like I said, works for me. And I noticed that there's not really a lot of other war game live streams going on the weekend in general. Maybe I think there's one on Saturdays, the War Room maybe on Saturday. But anyway, this is Sunday, so I figured it would work. Plus, I wanted to do it at noon because I knew that I have a lot of international viewers. I mentioned this pretty much every live stream, but I think something like 35% of my viewers live outside of the United States. So always welcome, which shows you history, wargaming. It's not a border thing. It's not a cultural thing per se. I mean, I'm sure there's some cultures that maybe aren't into it as much, but really, I think Western culture in general, whether it's United States, Europe, very much into wargaming. Although we see a lot, we see war games coming out of Japan and such, so definitely all over. That's me to listen. It says it really matters to me when I listen and watch an honest review like you do. Keep up the great work, Wayne. Busy with work and game design, but I keep watching videos. Hey, thanks. I appreciate that for sure. Always, and give myself a pat on the back. No, I appreciate it, guys. Anytime you guys post anything, good, bad, and feedback is welcome, more than welcome. Sometimes if I get, and I'll be honest, let me throw this out here. Sometimes when I do a video playthrough, generally is what it is, and I get some multiple criticisms of my rules, can I make rules mistakes? And by the way, everyone makes rules mistakes. Not that it's okay to make them. I don't want to make them. If I could make my videos 100% rules perfect, I would. And I want people to point out mistakes, especially when they're heavy on gameplay, where they have maybe a heavy effect on the game. That's a little rarer. But occasionally, if someone posts a long list, I had a guy recently posted like a dozen things and little timestamps and all of them on every little mistake I made. I was like, oh man, sorry. But also, here's the deal. I think it's like any content creator, right? It's people who design games. I mean, we see designers that get very defensive if you have criticism of their game. Someone posting and I have to realize as a reviewer, it's a little self acknowledgement, right? And kind of looking at myself here is that when someone posts a mistake that I made, it's not critical. They're not trying to be critical of me. Well, maybe they are, but in reality, right? They're correcting a mistake, and that's a good thing. It's no different than me, when I do my reviews, I do my pros and cons, and my cons, I start with my cons. I throw out the things I didn't like, things I thought were mistakes, the things that are mistakes, right? Not just opinions, but rules errors, errata, things like that, map errors. I list those as many as I can, as many as really make sense. And that's the same thing with my reviews. So I have to, or in my playthrough. So I have to be aware of that. And I'm going off on tangents already. Falling behind. No, I'm not good enough to be a reviewer. I'm not good enough to be a reviewer, but I should have lots of opinions. I don't know about that. If I can be a reviewer, anybody can be a reviewer. Joe says, hi from Long Island, New York. How come there aren't any Memorial Day sales on the Wargame sites? I don't like paying full price. So there are a couple sales going on right now, right? I think Revolution Games has one. But you're right. I don't think there's a kind of industry-wide, probably good opportunity for it. Celebrating history, Memorial Day for the United States, which I didn't mention yet. Memorial Day weekend. Memorial Day is tomorrow in the United States. So Tony from Tony's Board Life. Hey, Winky, with the content, like the live chats. Absolutely. Yep, it was time for me to get after it. I know you guys. I saw you guys having all kinds of fun doing your chats, doing all your live content, your live shows. I think you do the War Room. Am I mistaken on that? So I could be wrong. I don't. I watch content from other content creators, but sometimes, man, I spend so much time making my own content that I run out of time because I've got to play the games before I can make the content, because I'm a big believer in playing the games, which we're going to get to that talking about the reviews, by the way. I'm a big believer in playing the games and playing them all the way through and playing them more than once, which not all game reviewers do. Shh. All right. Having the most fearful sacrifice behind you is such a tease for buying. What are you talking about? Oh, you mean that right there? So that's the unboxing that I filmed. So I finished up my series on Manstein's War. I'm sorry, I'm from Wisconsin. I live in Missouri. Not great at pronouncing some of these things, but I finished that Decision in the West 1940 from World War 84. Finished my series on that. So I have the recon unbagging uploaded already for you guys to watch. I have a partial playthrough. I mean, very like the first turn, part of the first turn, not even full first turn. Hex Encounter games, as an aside, are really hard to film, especially when you're filming all the action, right? There's kind of two ways to do it. One, it's just going to take forever and it's going to be a lot of hard work. Or you kind of maybe you film where you say what's going on, you turn the camera off, you play, you film some more, hey, this is what happened, etc. It's hard to really sit there and just play with a Hex Encounter game on camera and record it all. So anyway, after Manstein's War was done, I have Herman Luttman, designer, obviously, of A Most Fearful Sacrifice, sent me a copy. I guess one of his designer copies. I was like, you don't have to, but he wanted me to get it to show it off because I did not back it on Kickstarter. I should have. I don't know why I didn't. I don't know what I was thinking, but excited to have that and excited to show that off. So that'll be the next game after I wrap up my Manstein series. So 1900 here in Luxembourg. So yeah, 7 p.m. Tony, well, mistakes, it helps learn. Absolutely. That's kind of how I look at it, is that, I am okay. So ultimately, like, hey, I'm okay with people pointing out my mistakes because it helps me learn and then it helps other people learn, right? So now that those mistakes that I make, they can be a reflection. They can be that I made a mistake and it's just the rulebook was clear, but I simply made a mistake. When filming, it's a little different than just playing on your own. And hey, you have, how many sets of eyes? Dozens, hundreds, sometimes thousands, depending on the game and video, looking at your play. So they can see, besides strategy mistakes, which are a whole other level, whole other conversation, you make rule mistakes, or I do anyway, right? Now, and not a defense of that, I have literally watched designer videos where the designer has made a mistake on their own game. So it happens, right? And I think it is part of just being recorded. But like Tony, you say there, the mistakes help people learn. Not only is it, I can correct my gameplay, but when I have a video saying, hey, here's how to play it, and I'm getting most of it right, but I make a couple mistakes. If someone responds and says, oh, you made a mistake here, then whoever else is watching that video, if they happen to see the comments, they can see that mistake as well and realize, oh, okay, so this is the correct way. That just helps them learn it even better. So definitely, making mistakes happens, but having them pointed out for the most part is okay. Absolutely. Love this community helps each other out and better enjoying our hobby, says James. Absolutely. I mean, I don't think any of us are professionals. Talking about the Wargame content creators, such a great term, right? None of us are professionals. I don't get paid for this. It's a hobby. It's a passion. I love doing it. I started, got into Wargaming about 5 years ago. So some people have been doing it for decades. I'm just a young pup when it comes to that. Doing it for about 5 years, but really just dove right in and was like, because I always loved history. I think for most of us, that's going to be people loved history, right? So I got into it, and I was initially doing like written reviews, written playthroughs. I did a lot of AARs on Board Game Geek, things like that. Then I reached a point where I was like, man, I saw some videos and it got me excited. I've mentioned this before. Derek Case was probably my biggest inspiration. With the single-handed warfare when he did his videos, was especially Solitaire, and then combination with Ham Tag, especially Judd Vance, really liked him and his content, which I have a story with him. I don't know if I've told this on the channel before, of trading a Wargame expansion for some beer when he was coming through to visit Wilson's Creek Battlefield that's nearby, but I can tell that story here later. Caleb says, are there rules you ignore by choice, like home rules for a particular game? So Caleb, I do work with him. So if depending on what he says, just ignore him. I'm just kidding. Just kidding, Caleb. So what I don't like to do, I like to play, to answer your question, what I like to do is I like to play a game as written. And I don't like to use optional rules when I'm doing my videos. So I like a base game. I like to have the game, as written by the designer, and not have the optional rules integrated. I've seen things where designers say, well, if you use this optional rule, it helps with this, helps with that. Well, then why isn't that optional rule part of the base game rules, right? Same thing with home rules, right? I like to play it as written. Like I want it to be what the designer said. I mean, won't forget when there was a game that came out and the rules were unclear and the designer posted online and he said, well, if they're unclear, just play it however you want. It's your game. And I was just thinking, and I remember, and I actually had a part about that game. I remember talking to the publisher, and I ended up working on a sequence of play with the publisher that they did like the graphics for and all that, because I can't do any of that stuff. I just remember thinking, what do you mean, it's my game, I can do what I want? I know that. Like, I don't need you to tell me that I can change my game however I want. But when I'm playing a game, when you get a game, you buy it and you open it up and you read the rule book and you set it up to play, man, those base rules, you better be able to play the game from beginning to end. It should be easy to learn, easy to play. Well, easy is relative, right? But you should be able to do that from the materials given. You shouldn't have to and just try it and say, well, this doesn't work, but if I put this optional rule in, and you shouldn't have to play test it yourself, right? It should be ready to go. Steve, don't worry too much about rules mistakes. Hard enough playing solo and streaming. The errors can be fixed in editing. Yeah, and I try to do a lot of that. You'll see I'll pop up the fixes on the screen usually. If while I'm editing and I notice a rules mistake, I'll have it pop up on the screen. Tony says yes, the war room. All right. And about the war room, Tony says great show yesterday. Learned a lot. It was so fun. And I didn't have to talk. It was great. Yeah, no kidding. That's the downside of me doing this solo right now. Solo gaming and then solo live streaming, right? So it was fun having a guest. Last week we had Devin on, right, from Blackload Publishing, explaining the Here's a Bit of Harvest, which was a lot of fun. Daniel says, think about a game without mistakes during playtests. A good design should take those mistakes to improve rather than complain about honest reviews like you do. Positive criticism is always good. Yeah, and we'll get into that in a second here. I think it's different to make mistakes in review versus make mistakes and learn to play video. And that's true. Now I'll be fully honest, transparent, admit it, whatever. I do make mistakes and I learn to play videos. I try not to. And I do think that, you should have a pretty good idea how to play the game before you do a review as well. David says, just a walking dictionary of war games. Yes, he is. The games that just seem too problematic to continue playing. So, Chris, are you talking about like games that I've played and that I just like stopped and never even did videos on type of thing? Because I can tell you on some of them. Like that, James says a lot. I like that a lot of publishers are including playbooks and examples of play with their games. It's helpful. It's helpful, definitely having more content. So something I was going to comment on. See, I knew I'd get distracted. As we had more questions and stuff. Have more reviews. I'm looking back through the comments, guys. So there was something I was going to answer. I want to give a longer answer to. Can't find it. Let's see. So I guess I'll just talk about the different to make mistakes and reverse to make mistakes and learn to play video. So let's talk about that for a second. So like I said before, and it's not an excuse. So let me just start from this sort of basis that I've seen designers of their own games make mistakes on video. Now let's transition that into, so is that okay to make a bunch of mistakes? No, it's not okay, especially if it's a learn to play video. Now I've seen Gary Ardwolf's Lair. his opinion has changed, I believe, because I've seen him have kind of two opinions, and not to call him out. I don't think he's here, so I don't want to call him out too bad. But I know that at one point he said basically that he did not think someone should make mistakes in order to play video. Like, he basically was a little bit more absolute of, I don't want to put words in his mouth, but made it pretty clear that, hey, I don't think there should be mistakes in order to play video, period. I think that would be hard to achieve a video that did not have mistakes, or a mistake even, right? Some level of a mistake. Now, there's also different types of mistakes, right? Hey, this guy's not using the sequence of play correctly. He has something out of order. That could be a big difference. And that is usually not my level of mistake. Mine is usually when it's someone says, hey, during that combat in that hex and this hex, you forgot the swamp terrain modifier that adds +1 to the defender's die roll. Okay, fair enough. Hey, that's fair. That's a mistake. It should be corrected. If I make a huge mistake, that's usually when I will edit a video to the point of, I've reshot scenes before, like segments that I've had to. It's rare, but if I make a huge mistake, if I make a mistake on a die roll modifier, like 1 or 2, probably not going to change anything. At least not in that sense. So Tim says, hey, Wayne, you're not backing Heroes of the Bitter Harvest. So I would have backed it, but full disclosure, I will be sent a review copy by Lock and Load Publishing. So he was like, you don't need to back it. And this is where kind of getting into the reviews, and I want to mention like review copies, things like that. We can talk about that in a little bit. With review copies, for instance, I've had at least one publisher tell me, hey, don't back my games on Kickstarter because I'm going to send you a review copy. So you don't need to do that. So when it comes to that, it can be a little tough for me if, I say, oh, I would back it, but I'm going to get a review copy. So I didn't back it. So in the case of Heroes of the Harvest, if I was not getting a review copy from Lock and Load, I would have backed it because I think that this will be, as I talked about in that video, this will be my entry point into Lock and Load Tactical with that solitaire module that is specific to that game. I'm excited for it. I'm looking forward to it. I'm just going to get a review copy, so there was no reason for me to back it separately. Otherwise, what would happen, and I've done this before where I've backed a game and then I got a review copy from a publisher, sometimes not even upon request. They just send you ones. And we can talk about that in a little bit if someone brings it up. And I remember, which is, review copies. How do you get them? Who gets them? How does the process work? Do you sometimes piss people off, you don't get them, etc. Yes, by the way. So different things like that. But I've backed games, Kickstarters, GameFound, maybe not GameFound, but because it's a little newer for me. But I backed Kickstarters, and then I did get a review copy just sent to me, and I was like, oh, no, 2 copies. David, I haven't seen the perfect video without mistakes. Even with veterans, it happens. Yeah, unfortunately. I don't want to make mistakes. I'd love if it was mistake free. I wish it could be like, hey, Wayne's videos are mistake free, and that's 100% guarantee. Tim, I think it's Tim, right? Only one person I know doesn't seem to make mistakes. May have been doing it a long time. That's Rodney over at Watch It Played. Is that his full-time job? And I'm not calling him out if it is or if it isn't or whatever. I'm just curious. Is that his full-time job? Is that like his YouTube channel and everything is his full-time job? Rodney Watch It Played, right, does like general board gaming. If I didn't have to go be a police officer for 40 hours a week, I'd probably make a few less mistakes in my videos as well. But maybe it's not his full-time job, so maybe I'm wrong there. All right, so let me go back. I did see something. So Chris says, yes, have there been some games that never made it to review section because you could not proceed very far? Yes, absolutely. So with my reviews, and let me throw one out there right away, by the way, before I go off on some tangent. Rome Inc., Rome Incorporated from Against the Odds magazine. Solitaire game, Roman Empire. What's not to love for me? You guys know I love Roman era, Ancients era. I love Solitaire, right? So like that was it, man. I was so excited for that game, and I got it, and I started playing, and I'm like reading through it, and it's like, okay, all right, seems a little. Let's start playing. I start pushing these little counters around, and it's area, right? The provinces. It's not hex or anything like that, but I'm rolling dice. Like one of the first segments, one of the first phases is checking for like rebellions. You're rolling dice. You're rolling dice. You're rolling dice. You're rolling dice. I think the first turn you roll d6 like 78 times or something like that. Man, talk about turn off. And I just was like, now I can't give it. I didn't play it enough to give it a review, right? And so that's where sort of that line is where you're kind of asking, right? Like they didn't even make it to a review, just couldn't proceed very far. And that's what happens, right? For me, I do negative reviews, I do critical reviews, but I do need to play it. I need to play a game enough that I can speak to why I didn't like it and what could have been done better, things like that. Rome Inc., I'd never even reached that point. And I want to give it another chance. I kind of want to let it cool off. I feel like the same time that happened, I got caught in a loop where I read some things online where people were also criticizing that same thing. And, sometimes that's good because you're identifying a problem, saying, well, it's not just me, it's other people too. But sometimes you can get caught up in maybe because you see other people identify something, you then kind of focus on it. And so then you're like, wait, I don't like that either. And then maybe that overtakes the truth. You know what I mean? So it's like, I want to give the game another chance. I will one day, hopefully. But yeah, it's Rome Inc. is one that literally, and there's other games where I have games that I have a recon filmed. And by the way, when I do my videos, I do it ahead of time, generally speaking. So I actually film them. I edit them because I do a lot of post editing and stuff. Well, not a lot, but a decent amount, especially for the Wargaming content, right, creators. And I usually upload them and I set them ahead. I schedule out my videos. So like I mentioned before, so I have my recon, the unbagging of Manstein's War. I have Decision in the West, 1940. I have the recon up, the unbagging, right? Well, I've already filmed the partial playthrough and I've already filmed my overview and review. And those are in the can, so to speak, right? They're filmed, they're edited, they're uploaded to the channel. They're just scheduled. I have them scheduled out into next week here. By the end of the week, they'll all be posted. So I've done it where I've filmed an unboxing, started playing it, and just went, man, I really can't stand this game. It's not clicking. And that's really made me more of it, right? Because if it's something where I think it's objectively bad, for instance, I don't know, Devil Boats, I will post my review. I will play it enough to learn it, enough so I can speak to it, right? And identify what I don't like. And I'll share that. But if it's something where I can't even really play it, I'm not getting it, it's not grokking, I'm just, I don't know, whatever it is, it's not clicking. I have no passion for it because it is a passion, right? This is my hobby. I have a big passion for this. I don't get paid for this. I get review copies of some games. Well, that's a whole different story than being paid for something. Or and again, not to call out Rodney because I know he does great content, but as we mentioned, Tim said, so we mentioned, and I said, well, is that his full-time job? And Tim said, yes, it is. So if my full-time job was making YouTube videos, I think that I would make even less mistakes. I'd make fewer mistakes, right? So I wish it was. Unfortunately, it's not. Steam says, Rome Inc., same for me. I just couldn't push my way through the incomprehensible procedural mass. Right. It just was. And man, there's a lot of these solitaire war games that are very procedural. Joseph Miranda is kind of the king of like super procedural. You'll have his solitaire games, right? It's like 12 steps, right? A turn is 12 different, each is like 6 phases. Each phase is made up of 3 steps, and then within each step will maybe a segment or 2. I mean, like, he goes into the procedural idea, and that's how his solitaire war games, how he designs them, right? That's how he has figured out. He's designing for effect with his, right? And it works for him, and it works for his games. I mean, a lot of them I really enjoy. I've covered multiple. I will cover more. I think I have, well, eventually. Here. So it's not. I got the glare there. What If, Malta Invasion, 1942. So based on and that glare is brutal. I'm sorry, guys. I might take out plastic. But basically, it's based on the Crete 1941 game system, which I believe is the Joseph Miranda game system. So watch videos more to get a general feel of how a turn plays. Details when I to find the rulebook. Help me a lot for Fields of Fire. Yeah, and that's the key too, right? And I've said this before, actually. I've said this is that, it's really hard to watch, just watch a video and say, I know how to play this game now, and just sit down and play it. Here's how I learn my games. Generally speaking, most of my games I get pretty early after they've been published, sometimes pre-release copies, although that's pretty rare. Wargaming just doesn't really do that. Even for people that provide review copies to me, publishers that do that, they don't usually do pre-release, right? It's not like a lot of other industries. Heck, even traditional board games or like the board game industry as a whole, who does do a lot of like preview copies, things like that to certain people. Wargaming doesn't do a lot. It does a little bit, but not a lot. But I still usually get most of my games pretty soon. Either I pick them up because I pay for them. It's a review copy. It is paid for through the donations I receive, which, by the way, thank you so much, everyone who donated recently. Had some donations through my PayPal links and then through my Patreon, get the money coming in from there. So a little bit, and every little bit helps. Pays for this StreamYard Pro or whatever I have, StreamYard Professional I signed up for. It helps me get more games to show off to you guys. So anyway, what I've always said, and this is how I learn, I read the rulebook through all the way through once. And then I go back to it and I kind of hit the spots that maybe I don't remember as well, didn't quite click. I then set up the game. I push the counters, flip the cards, whatever the type of game is, right? And I run through it with the rulebook handy. And what I do is I play through part of a game and I make mistakes. And I correct them as I go, or try to. And then I go back and I start over and I play another game. And then I play it through that second. Now, that is start of my first official playthroughs in my mind. I've read the rulebook a couple times. I've done a partial play, learning the game, getting the system down, the mechanics. Now I take it and I start playing. And that's when I start beginning my process of, not only continuing to learn, obviously, but starting to form opinions on the game, right? Starting to form opinions of how does this mechanism work? Does it work? Is it historically accurate? Is it fun? Et cetera, et cetera. But I don't watch a lot of videos to learn. First off, though, that's right. I know I go off on a tangent sometimes because I usually do my videos so early when a game comes out. There's usually not a lot of other videos available. And second, that's not my best way to learn. What I usually will do at this point, especially at this point in my career, whatever, how I am in the hobby, is I'll watch them kind of after the fact and just kind of see how other people did. So, for instance, with Midway Solitaire, Dave's Gaming Cave, he had some videos. I was already doing my videos when he was posting his, and I watched some of his. I commented, and I was like, "Oh, cool, nice to see this." And it was fun to see, just to see someone else playing it. I don't think I posted any mistakes anyone made because I was like, "That's not my place." I'd feel hypocrite doing that. Chris says, I have purchased a game based on a negative review due to the fact that what the reviewer disliked about the game were things I enjoyed in the game. Wonders if others have done the same. And I bet probably right. And that's kind of why, I don't try to just do, I try not to say, hey, this was a negative review, don't buy this game. I usually try to, and I'm not perfect. Again, this is a hobby. This isn't my job. Unfortunately, I'm not Rodney. I don't get to do this full time. I look at it like I'm telling you what I like and don't like, and I explain why. Right? Not just this game is fun, the end, or this game sucks, the end. It's hey, I like this, right? Or and I should say, because every game has both. I didn't like this, and this is why. I didn't like the rulebook, Planes Indian Wars, because the rulebook had mistakes. It was missing literally. There was part of the sequence of play that was in the rulebook, but when it came to the sequence of play itself, right? So there was a mechanism, an action that would happen, but the trigger that would be in the sequence of play wasn't in the sequence of play. So you don't know to do that thing that's in the game, that's part of the rules, because it's not listed anywhere in the sequence of play. And within the context of in the section of the rulebook where explained what you do, it doesn't. You had to kind of infer and extrapolate. And then I think finally, like the designer and stuff, John Paninsky and Etienne Michaud were posting errata saying, "Oh yeah, do this. Oh, by the way, and this is when you do that." And it's like, oh, okay. But in the rulebook as printed, wasn't even in there. You didn't even know how to do it. It's like it shows up. Well, when? I don't know. So that's something I point out. I mean, that's objective, like poor rulebook. You can't say that's not a poor rulebook because it is. Absolute War was ever for me, just didn't click. Yeah, David. Obviously, my review. A lot of people watched it. I got a lot of views on that. But I didn't really like the game. It was advertised as a newer beginner game. It's for new people. It's so easy to learn. There's a basic game, and then there's the more, the regular, more complex game. It was not for beginners. The basic game rulebook didn't teach you the game. You had to go back to the big rulebook to learn it anyway. At that point, you might as well stick with the basic rules. And it really wasn't for beginners anyway. Don't get me wrong, I don't expect a rules-free mistake from anybody. I mean, we are humans after all. And like someone said about those videos, for me, work in conjunction with the rules. Absolutely. You know, you want to have I think my Google thing just started playing. I got to go turn that thing off. So let's see. All right, guys. Yeah, my started playing. I got to give me 1 second. I will be right back. Go ahead and what should we look at? Let me pull up something for you guys to look at while I go fix that. Oh, I know. There, look at that. I'll be right back. I'm back. I didn't lose any viewers yet. It's probably going to queue up and you guys be like, hey, where the heck did he go? My Google, what's the screen thing? Like you can talk to it and it does things. Apparently me talking to you guys had to start playing music. So I don't know if you could hear it, but I could hear it and it was super annoying. So I had to go turn it off, but I am back. Whew. All right, let's go. Let's get back to it. Okay, yep. Negative reviews hold as much weight as positive reviews for me, meaning I'm probably turn on a few games to negative reviews. Absolutely. It's not a, you know, hey, here's my review that says it's a poor game or overall I didn't like it. Again, why, right? Not what is a bad review, and a negative review, right, is when overall, my opinion, say is negative on a game. A bad review is a poorly done review. That is, this game is fun. You should play it. The end. This game is bad. It's stupid. I don't like it. The end. Right? Now, obviously, I'm being a little facetious. Most reviews have more than that, even the poor reviews. But that's kind of the core of it, right? That's the idea, is that you need to be able to explain why you don't like something, why I don't like something. And that's what I do with my reviews. That's why I do I do an overview so you guys can see kind of how the game is and also what my vision of it is, right? If I explain it on the overview and you go, wait, that's not right, you have an idea that, hey, maybe I got something wrong. I don't think it happens too often, though, or if ever, thankfully. But then my pros and cons, right? And I explain, hey, this is what I didn't like and why. I didn't like the map. Why? Is it just the art? Was it because the map wasn't as functional because of the way it was designed, etc.? A lot of the times those are things like maybe, the hexes are too small, and so then the counters don't fit right. And especially when you have games where you have to flip the counters a lot, it really gets fiddly and all that stuff. So lots of things like that. If you could make a second review of a game after time, do you think, Wayne, that you will find differences to a game? I've played more times than read and might get new opinions. Yes, absolutely. I know you probably want an example. It's hard for me to give an example right now. I can look through some games I've covered to try to see, but let me see. Let me maybe look through a little bit. Yeah, I mean, there's definitely games, I'll tell you right now, that I've covered, reviewed, played, that I have an opinion on that maybe, and I have one that I feel bad saying because it turned into the Flying Pig game show here, and Mark Walker may end up, I don't see him here, so I don't know if he's tuning in quietly. So if you're watching, Mark, Armageddon War, my videos on that were generally positive. As time went by, right after, my opinion of the game went down. It overall negative. I didn't enjoy the game. I didn't enjoy my time with it. It was too fiddly. I thought the combat procedure was way too long for what it was. It was supposed to be a very simple, kind of almost a dice chucker style game. I felt the rules were overdone and, not overdeveloped, overwritten, and underdeveloped, really. James says, I bought my way Solitaire simply based on your Basing your playthroughs along with other ones, not disappointed. Yeah, it's a fun one. It's a fun one. It's not perfect. It's not a complete historical simulation game, right? I mean, it gets a little ticky tacky. The biggest part that for me that I was like, I wish this was changed was just the way that the Japanese will continuously launch kind of attacks from their task forces against yours. So it's not just the Battle of Midway. It's not just the Battle of Wake Island, whatever. It's like literally Battle of Midway 1, Battle of Midway 2, Battle of Midway 8, right? And kind of until finally you wear them down enough, or they wear you down enough, and advance through. Fun game overall. Roy Matheson. Hey, Roy. Welcome. I don't know if you commented before. Roy, the publisher, editor, right? Owner of War Diary magazine. I think I'm going to be getting maybe a couple copies of the magazine to check out, and I'll probably show off on the channel. So for any review to be of value, it must look at both the positive and negative aspects of a game, steer away from those that don't. Exactly. And that is literally why I do, overview, pros and cons. That's what I've settled on. My earlier reviews were different. I would kind of play a game and then just kind of give my thoughts at the end. I'm more structured now. I put out enough reviews that I know what works for me, what doesn't. And so it's very much, hey, overview, pros and cons, final thoughts. In addition, I've already done an unboxing, recon, whatever you want to call it. And I've done either a tutorial playthrough, a non-tutorial playthrough, partial playthrough, whatever. So at that point, from me, if you've watched all the videos, you've seen at least 3 videos covering that game. And that's kind of what my goal is going forward now for most games that are newer games that I'm doing reviews on and such, is to have that at least 3 video, sometimes more, but at least 3 video series for people to see all aspects of the game. Chris asks which reviewers you guys really check out. I know that we have Lancers here. So yeah, anyone who wants to help out Chris, what do you have? Who do you watch? Anyone's game, which reviewers you regularly check out? Tony says, if you started using most fearful sacrifice for your workout routine, there's one heavy box. Yep. I was just, I got a little bruise right there. You can see that's from the unboxing though. That was just for me, just filming the unboxing I just did. It's a heavy one. And I mentioned that in my review. It's not necessarily the biggest box that I've ever dealt with. But man, I think maybe Imperium Romanum 3, maybe it was a bigger box, but that was paper maps. These are mounted, and there's 2 of them, and they're not the regular size. They're not 22 by 34. They're huge. It's probably the heaviest Wargame box I've ever picked up. I think it is. For me, it is. Maybe other people have other heavier ones, but man, that thing is a beast. So Tim says, my Wargame video review group is literally limited to Wayne, Stuka Joe, Player's Aid, Rough Swordsman, and Gimpy Gamer. Yeah. So Wayne, obviously, great reviews, great videos, good looking guy. Overall, thumbs up to him. Stuka Joe, the epic Stuka Joe, the godfather of Wargame YouTubers. Can't go wrong with Stuka Joe. Love his playthroughs. Love his content in general. He is like the gold standard of, I do. So there's kind of like, when it comes to doing videos and Wargame videos, I feel like there's like 1, 2, 3, 4 categories, maybe. I know it's a lot of categories, right? We like to categorize things. We're Wargamers. Number 1, people who just do live streams. Like basically that's like the majority of their content, right? I don't mean like this. I mean like playing a game, right? They set up camera, they go live, play for a little while, talk about it, just show it on cameras or playing, etc. Right? Hard work playing live, hard work doing anything live, not as much work on the back end. In fact, basically no work on the back end. Lucky them. Then there are the people who film videos and they show them. They don't really do post-editing content. They just kind of, the camera appears and they're showing the game and they play some, or they talk about the game. They do an overview and then they're done. And then there's no like any sort of post-editing done. A lot of great stuff there. Don't get me wrong, but that's sort of that look at that. And then there's people who do some post-editing, and that's I think I fall in that category. Make my videos. Generally, I do a few live streams now. I've started doing this, but generally, 99% of my video content has been prepared videos. And like I said, I make them, I do post editing, and I put them up on on my channel, and I schedule them out ahead of time. I spend time on them, not a ton, but I do like to put little Easter eggs, little pictures, pop-ups, graphics, little editing, transitions, stuff like that. And then finally, there's like Stuka Joe, the gold standard of transitions, editing, just like professional videographer work applied to wargaming. So tremendous, and it's awesome to see. I wish we had more like him. They were able to do that and spend that much time. I simply don't have enough time. The amount of games I cover and the frequency that I get them and the new ones I get, and I'm gonna get a backlog showing up here. And I got more off screen. I mentioned this before. I got other games I wanted to cover. We'll talk about 4 I want to cover that I'm probably not going to anytime soon. And I got games coming up soon that I will cover. I mean, just there's too much. And without it being my full-time job, some things have to go. So some post editing, but can't do Stuka Joe level. Player's Aid, Player's Aid, they're out there. Rough Swordsman, Gimpy Gamer. I've watched a lot of Gimpy. I haven't watched a lot of Rough Swordsman. Watched a lot of Gimpy. I used to watch him a lot more back in the day. I haven't watched as much recently. I know he does, at least recently, it seems like he's doing a lot of like miniatures and stuff and like Ameritrash style games, which I hate miniature games, but I do like Ameritrash style games. But obviously with my content, I just focus on war games for my channel. Solitaire playable war games. That's my focus. So like Callendale's reviews, I do not agree with him. I respect his wargaming experience, gameplay insights. Yeah, I don't watch Callendale. I just not my style. Thanks for keeping coming. Hey, nice to see you. Thanks for stopping by. Single-handed warfare, Derek was awesome. Missed his videos. Yeah, I mentioned that towards the beginning of the stream here. Is that he got me into it, doing my own videos. Seeing his. So it's sad that he doesn't do anymore. I know he has his reasons. You see him around on the Solitaire Wargaming YouTube group. Daniel says a good reviewer in Spanish. Sorry. Is Julius Fairfax. Lots of experience. He had a game shop. Makes really honest video reviews. Besides being a great person when you meet in person at conventions. Yeah, I mean, and that's, in Spanish. Sorry, I don't speak Spanish, but very cool. And that's a nice thing, though. It's really cool to see all these different voices out there. When it comes to war games, there's a lot of different voices, and I think that that's a great part of the hobby. James, I have over 180 subscriptions on YouTube. I like to hear multiple opinions. 180 subscriptions. Well, I have a lot of subscriptions on my YouTube, or like my, that I watch. I probably subscribe to maybe a dozen Wargame YouTubers. There's a number that I would like to subscribe to. I need to. I just, like I said before, when it comes to YouTube, when it comes to Wargaming content, I don't watch a lot of YouTube Wargamers because I spend so much of my time in the hobby playing the games, right? And then making my videos on them. It's almost like, you see these, an interview with someone who's in the film industry and they're like, yeah, I don't watch a lot of other movies at the theater because they're making their own movies. I mean, some of them make them, I watch plenty, but Matt White and Cataclysm Now are 2 reviewers I enjoy and respect opinions. Yeah, Matt White, definitely have. Cataclysm Now, I don't know what I've seen of his. Matt White for sure. I know he had a couple games come out that I enjoyed a little while back. I know I like his. Yep. Big Board Kev covers a lot of material. Let's not forget the written review. John Bird at War Diary. Yeah, Big Board. So Kev at Big Board, he's that like throw up a live stream, cover a game, post a bunch of random stuff, and then be done, right? So not really, he doesn't do any like post editing. He doesn't put any like work into his videos outside of like sets up a live camera, plays it a little bit, covers some stuff, and then he's done. So a lot of content from him. I know he's got his blog as well. But just sort of again, kind of that different category of content. And that's fine. In fact, it's great. The fact that we have different levels of content, right? We have people who are just kind of doing random live streams, showing off games. And then you have people who are doing set videos with various levels of editing attached to them. Welcome to YouTube's closed caption in English. So thanks for mentioning the reviewer. Yeah, I guess that's true. You can do the closed captionings that kind of like are live, as they don't have to be created. YouTube creates them themselves. So yeah, the games I got back here, and I think I don't know if I mentioned this. So I'm kind of, when I said I did my videos on Armageddon War, and then I was generally positive with them, but looking back now, I'm like not a fan of the game at all. I got rid of my copy, and I'm totally glad I did. Sorry, Mark. Trust me, you make a lot of good games. I just didn't like that one. And I have my reasons. But now I'm like, suddenly the Flying Pig Games fan club over here. So most fearful sacrifice from Herman Lutman sent me that one to check out, which I should be next. Like I said, I just did the unboxing, and that's why I'm exhausted. And then I have the I saw the Long Road, which is a recent release, was on sale. Not on sale, but it was just released. I was like, that's kind of interesting. So I ordered that myself from Miniature Market, and then Battle of Kursk, I saw that he had a sale, Flying Pig Games website. It's like, well, I'll order that. So somehow I went from not having a recent Flying Pig Games product that I can think of. I don't think I have. To suddenly I have 3 games to look at. American Civil War, obviously, that's my passion. Probably that and Ancients are probably my 2 passions for sure. So like, we'll check that one out first. That's what's coming up, and then from there we'll go maybe on one of these. Or I was talking to Mark, and I think he's sending me a copy of the Scream and Fire Pacific. So Scream and Fire, the tactical solitaire game from oh no, can't remember his name. Let me look it up. It's probably comment before I even get a chance to look. J. Kirkpatrick, that's what it is. So he, Scream and Fire covered my channel. Super popular videos, by the way, but in a really fun game, solitaire tactical wargaming, pretty rare. But that one's a lot of fun. But I'll be getting the Pacific one that is just being released, I think, right now. So I'll be getting that, but that probably a couple weeks. Well, because this week we'll finish out with Manstein's War, and then Most Fearful Sacrifice. I plan to do a few videos on, at least 4, I think I want to do. Oh, I already said that. More viewers, more chance to get a better idea of a game. Yeah, exactly. Don't take one person's. That's okay though. I mean, if you have someone that you click with, you're like, oh man, every game they review or when they have, their opinion as they present them, I really understand them. I click with them, and I have very similar tastes. You may say, yep, that's this person kind of guides me in a way, right? Influences. How about that? Heavily influences me. I think we all have those people get influenced more by or less by. I've also watched videos of someone that I was like, I don't know, I really agree with this person on a lot of things. And I watched the video and I went, hey, okay, that makes sense. And I actually kind of like that. Or, yeah, you're right, I don't like that. So everyone's different. But any questions from you guys? My live streams lately have been going hour and a half, 2 hours. We're definitely going to go a little while longer. We're not done yet. Don't tune away yet. Don't click off yet. It's holiday weekend, United States, but wife's at work. It's just me at home. So when we're done, I'm probably going to fire up the old Most Fearful Sacrifice, start playing that, but we're not done yet. So any questions you guys have, stuff that I may have missed, stuff that I said I was going to talk about and then forgot, please say something and we will, I'll answer it. But, I had a couple talking points. I've covered most of them when it comes to reviews. Review copies. You can talk about review copies. So review copies. I know some people ask, they'll say, how do you get review copies? Like, what's the deal with review copies? And I'll talk a little bit about, sort of where I'm at in the hobby, and everyone's different. Every content creator is different level, different popularity, different relationships with different publishers. That's for sure. So, for me, I'm at the point where with review copies, I have some publishers that send me them automatically. Basically, they just release a new game and they send it to me. Then I have Tim. We'll get to that in a second. Which opinion was said about? We'll get to that in 1 second for sure. And then there are publishers that I will gladly send them, but they don't do it automatically. I just have to request it. So I shoot them an email. Hey, I'd like to show this off on my channel. And then there are publishers that I will ask them, and then sometimes they do, and sometimes they don't. It's a crapshoot. And then there are other publishers that I can ask them, and they ignore my emails. So you never know what you're going to get, which is fine, because then those games then are the ones that I will pick up with my own money or the money that you guys have donated to the channel. I've said this before many times. money gets donated, and the links are in the subject below, or the video information. Please, if you feel like supporting it, you feel like, help me get more games, donate. You can also, when you donate, especially if you do through the PayPal link, you could put it, hey, I'd love to see you cover this game. And if it's, I may be able to then pick it up and cover it if I know that I have people that are interested in it. So let's do these in order. I got a few questions here. So Tim, which upcoming game are you most excited about? So maybe Enemy Action Kharkov from Compass Games. I have that pre-ordered and coming soon. I know it's shipping soon. Actually, I think some people are getting their copies. So it's that'll be entering my queue of videos very shortly, but I'm very excited about that one. I don't have a ton of experience with Enemy Action Ardennes, so I'm anxious to get into the system and really learn the system myself. Other than that, there's American Tank Ace, Greg Smith, and also Compass Games. Compass. For having one of the most infamous review videos out there. I seem to like Compass sometimes. Turns out I like the games. It has nothing to do with the publisher or the designer. It has to do with the games. But also I know that I want to say, what other games have coming? The downside of the wargaming hobby is that a lot of times games, actually, okay, I can give you a couple. White Dog Games has a couple coming. Kaiser Krieg from Arben Madison. And then that's probably the main one from them that I'm looking for. And then The Knight, which is like a zombie one. But Kaiser Krieg from Arben Madison is going to be World War I strategic solitaire. Kind of like how Jeff Davis covered the American Civil War. So we're looking forward to that one. You feel nervous posting your first review? Sure did. First videos, any of my first videos, I was nervous. I'm scared of the feedback, scared of what people would say. However, I absolutely love doing it now. And, I'm not nervous anymore really in any way. I just film the videos and I just have fun with it. But I absolutely was the first few videos. But, because what's interesting is when you start a YouTube channel, you have no followers. Now, if you post your videos like on Board Game Geek on YouTube, you start getting people watching them, but it's still just going to be a handful of people, right? First time you hit like 10 views, first time you hit 50 views. You're like, whoa, I had 50 people watch my video. Wow. And those numbers grow. They lose a little bit of the meaning later on. But what that's why the numbers of their viewers, it only matters when I'm communicating to publishers, because I want them to see the eyes that are on the videos. But what really matters to me are the comments, the people, you guys watching, who then comment. You don't have to comment all the time. I don't expect you to watch every video. I don't expect you to comment every time. But when you do, I really appreciate it. James, thoughts on the reprint of Great Battles of Julius Caesar? I cannot wait. I love Great Battles of History. Now, I do play the simple version of Great Battles of History. I do not play the fully leaded version. I play simple, which really simple Great Battles of History isn't really simple. It's really more like medium weight Great Battles of History. But I cannot wait. And I also love, obviously, the Romans, Julius Caesar, Yep, huge fan of all that, the history, the battles, his leadership. I mean, just I could go on, little Romaboo style of like going on about the Roman Empire, but it's just a lot of fun, very interesting, just fascinating. And there's gonna be so much content in that game. I cannot wait. I got a P500. I can't wait for it to show up so I can play it. And I'll probably show off a little bit on my channel, although tied into something that will be probably a future topic, which is Hex Encounter Wargame, showing them on. And I think it maybe be next week unless we cover the Charlies. Then I'm trying to get Robert from Kilroy was here to cover the Charlies with me, but the guy's so busy that I can't freaking get him on the channel here to talk about the Charlies. So anyway, Hex Encounter games can be really hard to film, but I just love the game, period. So for me personally, I'm going to enjoy it, and I'll probably show it off on the channel. John asks, solo Roman ancient game your go-to? Ooh, Solitaire Caesar, Aurelian, Stilicho, other. All the above. So Solitaire Caesar is a little on the simpler side for me for like go-to. It's a good game. It's a solid game. David Kershaw, a lot of good games from him. His are a little bit on simpler, more dice rolling style. I have a lot of fun with that. But when I think of like my go-to, it's going to be Aurelian. Love Aurelian. Restorer of the World. Amazing, underrated Emperor Aurelian. With the 3-cup system from Hollandspiel. Love the system. Works great. Stilicho, also love that one. More of the States of Siege style. Robert Dulesky. Wars of Marcus Aurelius was my favorite. Stilicho took over from that in that aspect. There's just ancient, solo Roman ancient game go to. It has to be Aurelian or Stilicho. I know you brought, it's like, oh, which one? I can't pick one. I picked both. I like the topic on both. What I would love to see, I want to see a Julius Caesar themed solitaire game like that, right? Aurelian, Stilicho. I want to see Caesar whooping butt, doing his thing, being the crazy Caesar he was, right? And I want to see that in a solitaire game, not just Rome or Caesar, Rome versus Gaul, right? Which I am getting, by the way, and I have a copy. Just got in, and once I get the solo CDG system from GMT, I'll cover that game. But I want to see like a dedicated one. But man, yeah, Aurelian and Stilicho, funny enough, both from Hollandspiel are just excellent. Daniel asks, what annoys you the most in a review? A rulebook not well written, a map with mistakes, bad structure of rulebook, both or something else. Rulebook, map I can get over. People were really upset that Midway Solitaire didn't have the line connecting West Coast and Hawaii. West Coast and Hawaii. Okay, just imagine the line. It didn't bother me, right? I mean, another example is the new reprint from Worthington of Soviet Dawn, which had reorganization was big typo in the top right of the map. It's like reorganization. It's a typo. And I had multiple people like, I can't believe that. It really distracts from the game. Really? You're distracted by a typo like to that level? Get over it. It's not that big a deal. But if you have a poor rule book, if you give me a rule book I can't learn the game from, because I'm playing solitaire. Heck, most of these two-player games people play nowadays, they play solitaire. You're learning from a rule book. You may be assisted by a video, maybe from the developer, the publisher, maybe from a YouTube person, but you're learning the game from the rule book. And if it's a poor rule book, you can't learn the game, means you can't play the game, which means everything else means nothing. The mounted map, the fancy counters, nothing. It doesn't mean anything with a poor rule book. Right? Complicated, epic, and fun, maybe. We'll see. Agreed, David. Ben Madison, very underrated designer. He does not get enough credit. I know that there was some kerfuffle, official word, by the way, back in the day when he was banned from Board Game Geek, 2 years ago? And he kind of disappeared for like a year. I don't know what was going on. Not crying. I don't know. But I think he's back now with some games. Like I said, Kaiser Creek coming. Can't wait. Boom. Got it. I got it. Actually, it's pile back. Actually, you can see it. I think it's right. Whoop. See that right there? I think that's whatever. Right there. My right shoulder. I believe that's the box for the deluxe. I don't know why I bought the deluxe. I did it the second time I've done that. It just comes in a box, like a plain white box. It's like $5 extra for a plain white box. It's the dumbest thing in the world that I fell for it. I fell for it, guys. But anyway, latest C3I has Great Battle of History, simple Great Battle of History, Lake Trasimene. I'll definitely be showing that off. Full map, good solitaire situation. Absolutely, can't wait. Also, there is a solitaire game, Battle of Teutoburg Forest. I don't know if that's the name of it. I don't know what the name of it is, but it's in that C3I 35. Is that the number? But there's a dedicated solitaire game covering the Battle of Teutoburg Forest. Now, I think it's a very simpler game, dice rolling, based on the Fire-based Vietnam. Is that what it was called? From the last C3I, which I did do a video of on my channel. I do a full review because it's just such a simple game. Don't need to do a review on it. It's literally like chuck some dice, but I'm looking forward to both of those. James would love to see more games covering the battles of Marius and Sulla. Absolutely. Absolutely. Just anything ancients, Romans, and yeah, that's why I'm like, I know that Julius Caesar, to me, it's like, I feel like a lot of people look at it like, think of Battle of the Bulge, right? Where it's like, well, we don't need more Bulge games. There's plenty. Okay, yes. If there was a bold game that you love released in 1974, I'm glad for you. That's cool. But some of us are newer to the hobby, and we want to play newer games. And it's not that those old games are bad, but they're not being made, different level of quality, different components, stuff we're not used to. I want to see new ideas. I want to see the same old topics covered with new ideas. Julius Caesar, right? I know that Columbia Games has the epic Julius Caesar game, right? Which I actually have on my shelf. I played the online version a little bit. I never played the actual physical one. And then I have the like neoprene mat that's like oversized, massive, super cool looking. But I feel like, and I know that's a game a lot of people mention when it comes to Julius Caesar, which really it's, Caesar, I think it's mainly the Civil War, Caesar versus Pompey. But I want to see like a game about Julius Caesar and his campaigns, right? And his leadership and influence on the legions and just the things that he did. I just want to see a game like that focuses on him. I mean, I don't see why people haven't done it. I feel like it'd be super popular. So, and I think there's plenty of material there, not just besides popularity. I think there's plenty of game there, plenty of material there to make a good game. So, I do have some ideas on a game, but I've never designed a game. Just some ideas I've been throwing around. A Julius Caesar game, focusing on his conquest of Gaul. That would not be the title, but possible. We'll see. We'll see if I keep working on it. I spend so much time on this channel that this is really my hobby. Hobby time is this channel, is war games here and covering them and playing them and filming videos. So thank God we love this hobby, right? Thank God we have this passion for this hobby, because I don't know what I do otherwise. All my free time. Yeah, let's go over to I'll pull up something here. So just to give, and then another one. That's right. Herman Lubman. I don't want to give him too much press. I mean, geez, the guy gets talked about all the time. But literally right here, the White Dog Games here. If you look, and let me pull her up there. So White Dog Games website has some interesting ones coming. I know they have Vultures Lead the Way, which is the battles. I think it's for like Mars and something else. But anyway, this is it's based on the In Magnificent Style system, which I absolutely love. In Magnificent Style, as I mentioned many times, top 3 war game of all time, in my opinion. Maybe my favorite war game of all time. Maybe it's hard to pick a favorite, right? But Vultures Lead the Way, Kaiser Creek here from Arben Mads, we mentioned, Great War, 1914, 1918. We're really excited to play that one. 3 to 4 hours, play the entire campaign. That'd be awesome. Yeah, just looking at some other games that are coming up. There's so many good games coming, for sure. Each would be good. Yeah, I mean, the State to Siege system is like such a good base system. Such a good, like base system that I'm reading a little bit about him. Okay, I've descended from such of Alexander the Great. Okay, Antoninus, what does it be? And I don't know. Antagonist. I don't know how you pronounce that. I'm not good with my Greek names. Or I don't even know, what would that be. English-sized Greek names. I don't know. But yeah, anything with Sage Seed system, generally he's done really well. I think in general. I know there's questions of, is it a historical simulation or not? Probably not, but definitely had a lot of fun with them. So, all right. Any more questions, guys? I think I'll wrap it up here. We're at an hour 10. More questions? So anything you got here? I'll call it in 5 minutes. 5 more minutes, guys. Anything else you want to talk about? Anything? Questions for me? Questions for other people? David says your playthrough review of I assume Jeff Davis, I assume you mean, was outstanding. Not a lot of playthroughs on this White Dog Games Classic. Yeah, I have a good relationship with White Dog Games. So I've purchased many of their games, but I frequently get sent review copies. And I don't know if Jeff Davis was a review copy that I purchased or that I was sent. I think I purchased it, but regardless, whatever. It doesn't, as I've said many times, being reviewed. Sorry, guys. Getting sent a review copy means nothing when it comes to my reviews. I have posted and filmed negative themed reviews on review copies. It doesn't matter. But I definitely will be covering, a lot of their new ones as they come out here, all their solitaire games. I've already covered many of them in the past, and I will cover more in the future. So, yeah, any questions, you guys? Anything for me? Comments, suggestions, things that can improve? Come on, don't be shy. I probably won't ban you from the chat if you say if you have any questions. So interesting seeing the counter for viewers here. It's like it changes drastically every couple seconds. I don't know if that's right or not. But like I said, yeah, any questions, anything you guys got? So otherwise, here in about 5 minutes, I'm gonna wrap it up. So even my dog just sighed. So my dog is sighing. That means it's probably time to wrap it up here in a little bit. So, but lots of stuff to look forward to. Wargaming in general. Lots of games, lots of solitaire war games being designed, coming out. Lots of ones that we're going to cover on the channel. Again, we can see some behind me that I'll be covering. And have a great weekend. Free Americans, a great long weekend. Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. Definitely. And it goes out to everyone, American or not. Hope you guys have a good weekend, rest of your weekend, all that. Stay safe, Wayne. Thank you, David. Really appreciate that. And that's my goal every day. Be safe. Steve, I see your comment. We'll get to you in a second. James, I know you may have mentioned this before, but why do you prefer the simple GBOH rules? I feel the fully leaded rules are too fiddly and too long. Makes the game too long for what they're worth, what they add to the game. Do you give up some of the simulation aspects when you switch to simple? Yes. I think you're fooling yourself if you don't say that, if you don't believe that. But I think the base Great Battles History rules are a little heavy for what they're worth for the game length. Now, if you want ancient simulation as much as we as modern people understand it, sure, regular GBOH. But for me, when I set up that map and I set up those counters and I get into it, to make it playable for me, and maybe that's what I'm talking about too, right, is playability. Make it really playable, I got to have the simple rules. I think simple is a misnomer. I don't think they're simple. I think they're more medium level. You still get theme. You still get Chrome. You still learn history. Heck, those games, the counters are so great. Just setting it up, seeing the counters, the names, reading through the setup, the scenario books. You learn as much as you're going to learn just doing all that, as much as actually when you're pushing the counters around. You're rolling for shot combat, skirmishes. So that's why I prefer that. Revolution just released Warsaw 1920. Yeah, they also have one air game and 2 new Blind Swords titles this year. Yeah, one of those Blind Swords titles, I can't remember who was designing it. Saw somebody's name. Was it Stove or something? What was his name? We may have to keep an eye out for that one. Blind Swords, I enjoy those. Murph, don't forget the bourbon, 1792. I know, so many good ones. I think someone's sending me some bourbon too, which is scary. Start getting free bourbon too. Oh God, it's the end of me. You answered a question to me on Board Game Geek today. Thanks from Istanbul, Turkey. Oh, I did? All right. Oh, I think, did you post the, was it a question about the game or if I made a mistake? Yeah. Speaking of rules mistakes, you pointed out a rules mistake. How could you do that to me? If I'm remembering correctly, sir, if you're the one that I remember is, I had a mistake on my Forgotten Pacific Battles video, and that's fine. Hex Encounter games, and this is a topic for next week maybe if we don't cover the Charlies, is Hex Encounter games are the hardest to film and hardest to cover because there's so many rules exceptions and specialized rules every single turn because those games are a big sandbox. We'll cover that more next week. Oh, yep, there we go. I swear I didn't see that. I mean, I missed it, but we played Keep Up the Fire. No, I have it. It's under my desk, so I'm not going to dig it out. I have it. Worthington sent it to me to review. I've not covered it. I've not played it at all. Oh, I know, terrible. The reality of a board game reviewer and board game content creator, sometimes you get games and there's so many games coming in, you kind of can't keep up. And I won't say I missed the train because clearly it just came out not that long ago, and it's a re-release anyway. I definitely want to cover it, Kirk. Hopefully sooner rather than later, but I got a few games I want to cover ahead of it. But Mine's in the post, yes. Truth on games so far. Opinions are viable. Hey, thanks, Charles. I really appreciate that. I do my best. I'll continue to do my best. I'm not perfect in any way, but I love this hobby. I love sharing my opinion on games. I have a passion for the games. I think we all do. Right? That's why we're doing it. We have a passion probably for history and a passion for these war games that seek to simulate history, show it off. Some are more serious than others. Some are more simulation. Some are more games. Some are in the middle. I love them all, basically. You guys have seen me cover dice chuckers. I've also covered maybe not as much of the heavy simulation games, although those often aren't solitaire. So that's kind of the problem, right? If you get into that hex encounter, if it's a 4-map hex encounter game, yeah, I'm not covering it on my channel. Sorry. And John says, have a great weekend, buddy. Great job. Hey, thank you. Thanks to everybody who tuned in. Appreciate it. We will be back next Sunday for sure, I think. Yeah. Like I said, I do want to get an episode on the Charlie Awards 2021. Trying to get Robert from Kilroy was here from his YouTube channel on here. This guy's so busy though. I can't get him on here. So we'll find somebody though. Maybe he'll come on now if I poke at him a little bit and give him some crap. So, but thanks everybody for watching. Really appreciate it. Appreciate all you guys. If you want to donate to the channel, totally optional. I would like your subscription. Just click the subscribe button. It's free. And then thumbs up on any videos you like. Please do that. But if you want to donate, I'll have the links if they're not in there now, I'll put them in. I think they're in the video description if you want to. So just allows me to get more games. Yes, I get some review copies, but trust me, the majority of my games, like I said, I bought these over here. This was sent by Herm. These I bought. You're already talking, $100 or $200, whatever it was. So definitely war games are not cheap nowadays. So, but that said, I think we're done here. Thanks everybody. Talk to you next time.